Volume increased to by 9.39 million units of shares traded and is valued at 87.01 million naira. All this took place in 38 deals, and CSCS as well as WAMCO are the top traded securities on the platform. Let's go for the bonds markets on the FMDQ side of things. The bonds markets traded mixed through the week with increased activities seen in short-dated securities. The mid and long-dated securities were relatively quiet as volatility was strong on 16.39% of FGN bonds January 2022 maturities, which shared 15 basis points. Yields came off an average of 4 basis points. And for yesterday, we see the January 22nd, 2026 security garnering the attention of investors more than the March 2024 as well as March 2036 securities. Those are long-tenured bonds. The number of total days was put as 29, while total value came in at 3.80 billion naira. And for the T-bill side of things, there September 2017 as well as July 2017 and June 2017, all short-tenured securities had more attention from investors in the Nigerian capital markets. They ended the week with these numbers you see right there on the screen. Total deals is 539, valued at 153.980 billion naira. Dealers expect another mixed session next week. As we said earlier, our focus on the program this evening is the rising debt profile of the nation. Of course, matters of debt don't arise without a nation's bonds market, one of which has now become dominant in the Nigerian financial system. But during the week, the Debt Management Office said the nation's total debt profile as at May the 31st stood at 19.16 trillion naira. And according to the figures released by the agency, Nigeria's domestic debt stood at 11.96 trillion naira in 2016 as against 8.51 trillion naira recorded in the preceding year, representing a 40.71% increase. External debt of federal and state governments rose from $9.46 billion to $13.81 billion, and that's just in 2 years, of which means an increase of 45.98%. Giving us an insight into this much later on the program will be the CEO at FSL Asset Management. Basically, we are now being joined again by the Honorable Tajuddin Yusuf from the National Assembly. Now, Honorable, it's good to have you back on the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's look at what's next right now after the bill has now scaled a second reading. What are we going to be seeing next? How soon will the bill be passed now that it is also in front of your committee?
It is going to public hearing now. The process of making a bill an act has begun. We have done the first and second reading. What we did on Thursday, second reading, is where the basic objectives and the policy background that kind of stimulate or brought the idea of that bill is laid before the House, and the pros and cons are articulated. At the public hearing level, stakeholders are invited now to come and have an input. The merit and demerit of the bill. If you scale to that level, come for third reading, then the House pass the bill. Also to Senate for concurrency. However, this bill too is sent to the Senate so that both chambers, I am sure by next week, Senate will be doing the first reading. So rather than waiting for House to finish and send to Senate, it will run concurrently in both chambers. So that is where we are now.
So in 20 seconds, in 20 seconds, Honorable, sorry for interjecting, give us a sense of what you will be expecting from the regulators and from key players in the Nigerian capital market now that we are at this stage of the bill.
I expect frank contributions. I expect them to tell us the merit of it, where we need to dot the T's, dot the I's and cross the T. That's the essence of public hearing. If we don't have such experts giving us input into it, we'll make laws that are not being consonant with the reality of the market. Our job is to make law, but it must be in consonant with the demand of the market. We will fail in that responsibility don't get their input into it.
Honorable Tajudeen Yusuf, Chairman Capital Markets Committee at the House of Representatives, thank you very much for letting us share some time out of your weekend. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Right. Viewers, on the program this evening, we've talked about the fact that we'll look at the debt profile, rising debt profile of the country. And as it is right now, we're being joined on the program by the CEO of FSL Asset Management, Mr. Tola Odukoya. Thanks a great deal for coming through, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Why should anybody bother about the rising debt profile of Nigeria? We reeled out the figures earlier, and we said Nigeria's debts, national debts, increased 10.31% to 9.16 trillion naira in the month of May alone, which is the latest figures, bringing the debt to GDP ratio of Nigeria to 15.4%. Should this bother anyone?
Yes, it should. Judging by where we're coming from, pre-2006, remember we had a debt forgiveness where we almost reduced our debt levels to the barest minimum. And the cause for concern, beyond the rising debt profile, is the service of the debt. You know that as we speak, yields, or let me say interest rates for government bonds, federal government bonds particularly, are somewhere in the upper teens. And so what that means is that for every 100 naira borrowed in the domestic financial markets, the government is paying on the average 16%. So for every 100 naira, you're servicing that debt with 16 naira. Now we got to this pass as a result of falling government revenues, as a result of lower oil prices in the international market. So yes, it's good to keep an eye on debt levels, but most importantly is actually for what reasons are the debts being incurred? Are they being incurred to finance developmental projects that could, for example, increase government revenues somewhere down the line, the years ahead? So, but it's very important to keep an eye on debt profile, whether as an individual, as a sovereign, as a sub-sovereign. It's very important to keep an eye on debt levels.
So let's look at the other side of the coin, where we've seen external debt rising to $13.81 billion, and domestic debt has now totaled 11.96 trillion naira out of the total figure of 19.16 trillion naira. Has this done investors in the financial market any good?
Well, doing them any good, I wouldn't look at it that way. As an investor, if you are willing to meet my pricing, for example, if you are issuing debt securities and I'm demanding X, Y, Z as a cost. So, for example, as I mentioned earlier, Nigeria is issuing bonds today at somewhere between 14 to 16%. So, for me as an investor, of course, if I do my analysis on that paper, and I will see my money coming in.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Odukoya. Let's quickly go on a short break, and when we're back, we'll continue the discussion on the Nigerian debt profile.